Welcome to the Betting Pros PGA podcast. I'm Pat Fitzmaurice here with my co-pilot, Bo McBrayer, who I was lucky enough to see in person a few days ago at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio. Bo and I withstood a weekend-long assault on our livers and are able to bring you this show despite that. And there are only 3 more shows left to go in 2024. We've reached the home stretch of the PGA Tour season. The FedEx Cup playoffs start this week with the FedEx St. Jude Championship in Memphis, and we will give you a full betting preview of that tournament. We'll also do a quick recap of the Wyndham Championship, and we will give you our one and done picks at the end of the show. The Betting Pros PGA podcast is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the place to go for fantasy football best ball contests. But you might not have known that Underdog has fantasy golf contests too. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find Underdog in the App Store. And don't forget to register with the promo code BPGolf to claim your special pick and to get a first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. More on Underdog and its fantasy golf contest a little bit later. Aaron Rai wins the Wyndham Championship. The Englishman has been having a very nice season. He's had 5 top finishes this year, and he got his first ever PGA Tour victory by shooting a final round 64 at the Wyndham. Rai finished 18 under par, 2 shots better than runner-up Max Grazerman. Rai rolled in a 6.5-foot birdie putt on the final hole to cap off a birdie-free final round. This was a victory a lot of people we're happy to see. Bo Rai is one of the good guys on the PGA Tour, very well liked among his fellow tour pros, very gracious with fans and the media. And at least one person on this podcast might have bet him at 40-1 odds. Thank you for covering some. Yes, thank you for covering some bar tabs from last weekend, Aaron. I do appreciate that. Second place finisher, Max Grazerman. He's a player to watch. He's finished top 25 in 3 straight events. JJ Spawn and Ryo Hisatsuni finished tied for 3rd, 3 shots back at -15. The remnants of Hurricane Debbie made for a soggy start to the Wyndham Championship play. Play on Thursday completely canceled, and the organizers did a really good job of somehow managing to squeeze in this tournament into a 3-day window. Technically, the tournament didn't actually end in 3 days, which brings us to the saga of one Mr. Matt Kuchar. With darkness starting to fall on Greensboro early Sunday evening, Kuchar and his playing partner stepped to the 18th tee, hit their drives. Kuchar's playing partners, including Grazerman, elected to finish the hole. Kuchar, who at one point led by 3 shots but fell out of contention on Sunday, elected to mark his ball in the rough and finish the final hole on Monday morning, thus forcing tour officials, volunteers, maintenance workers, his own caddy to show up at the course early Monday morning to prepare for the final few shots. And by the way, Kuchar was generously granted a line of sight relief on his final on the first shot after returning from the evening's layoff. Got to move his ball from the rough into the fairway, made his par, finished tied for 12th. Kuchar was rightfully barbecued on Twitter for this diva-like behavior. Kuchar had memorably incurred the wrath of PGA Tour aficionados a few years ago when he shortchanged a fill-in caddy after winning the Mayakoba Classic. In fairness, Kuchar did eventually give that caddy the $50,000 he had initially asked for after only giving him $5,000 at first, but not before being roasted on social media. So that's a familiar feeling for Mr. Kuchar.
It seems like he's pretty reactive to that sort of thing, where he's like, he does what he wants at first, but when he gets backlash is when he starts to try to make it right.
Yes, indeed. And I don't know if you probably weren't home in time to catch this, Bo, but Jim Nantz had a line that had me giggling on Sunday. After explaining that Kuchar was electing to finish on Monday, Nantz said, "I don't expect we'll be bringing you that coverage tomorrow."
Yeah,
so
it took 6 minutes for him to hole out from that spot. And he actually lipped out that birdie chip. So he was short of the green in 2 after that relief, which is fine because you're expecting he's looking at about $100,000 step between making par, bogey, or birdie. If he made birdie there, he was going to make another $120,000. So that was a big deal for him. I don't really give it any extra thought, because if he does make birdie there, somehow it does make him more money. I would always say that you should go that way. If you don't feel 100% right about any shot because of darkness, he doesn't have to play that hole. It's just because of his track record that we're calling into question this decision. So he doesn't get as much grace from the golf community as somebody else might, even though he is a nice guy from most accounts. This is getting him rightfully barbecued, like he said, and it is what it is. He very nearly chipped in for that birdie to crack the top 10 and make six figures this week. So, or make more six figures. I'm ready for the playoffs. This is going to be fun. And as far as my liver's fine, but you might notice that we're speaking a little bit raspier.
Yes, there was
Our voices are dulcet.
Yes, there was a lot of deep conversation over a few drinks in Canton, Ohio. So I'm pretty talked out, but I think I can make it for another half hour or so. Yeah. Anything else? Anything on Aaron Rye's victory, or should we just get on with the FedEx the FedEx St. Jude Championship?
Unlike you, I did not bet Aaron Rye, and I was one of the only people in the community who wasn't touting him. And here I am on the outside looking in, like a SpongeBob looking through the Mr. looking at SpongeBob and Patrick skipping along with their winning pick of Aaron Rye, and me watching from above, just wondering what I might have missed.
All right. Hopefully you're only Squidward for 1 week, Bo. We've got some big money events here. So we'll get to the FedEx St. Jude Championship in just a minute. But first, our friends at Underdog Fantasy are letting you make picks on your favorite golfers all season long. Just pick higher or lower on selected stats for 2 to 5 golfers, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single day. You can also make rivals picks where you choose, for example, which of 2 players will shoot a better score in a round. Golf picks can be combined with player stats from other sports too. Go sign up at Underdog Fantasy with the promo code BP Golf to claim your special pick and to get a first-time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. So the FedEx St. Jude Championship is the first leg of the 3-leg FedEx Cup playoffs. There's 70 players in the field for this no-cut event. The top 50 will move on to the second leg of the playoffs next week at the BMW Championship in Colorado. The FedEx St. Jude will be played at TPC Southwind, a par 70 measuring 7,243 yards. It's about an average length course by PGA Tour standards. There's 7 par 4s that measure more than 450 yards, but only one that stretches past 500, and there are really no drivable par 4s on this course. Only one of the par 3s is longer than 200 yards. There are only 2 par 5s, both reachable. TPC Southwind does have smaller greens than average on the PGA Tour. They're Bermuda greens. Accuracy off the tee is pretty important because TPC Southwind has quite a bit of water and some gnarly Bermuda rough, and the fairways are slightly more narrow than the average tour course. Lucas Glover is the defending champ. He finished 15 under par last year and bested Patrick Cantlay in a sudden death playoff. Will Zalatoris also won in a playoff 2 years ago, had to outlast Sepp Straka, and he too was 15 under par. In 2021, it was the WGC Invitational that was played at TPC Southwind, and Abraham Answer won also with the score of minus 15. So we're getting a pretty good idea of what it takes to win.
Sensing a pattern here, Pat.
Yes. He beat Sam Burns and Hideki Matsuyama in a playoff. So, wouldn't be surprised to see a playoff this time around. Justin Thomas won in 2020. He was minus 13, and Brooks Koepka won in 2019, finishing at minus 16. Those were also WGC Invitationals played at TPC Southwind. So the weather forecast for Memphis later this week, steamy, which is nothing really unusual for this tournament. Go down to Memphis in August. It's going to be hot and humid. Temperatures expected to be in the 90s throughout the week. Wind shouldn't be much of a factor, just 5 to 10 miles an hour most days. I think maybe 10 to 15 on Friday. And there are only slight chances of rain in the forecast Friday and Sunday. But what sort of skills do you think are going to be most important this week at TPC Southwind?
As you get into this part of the schedule, they're not going to make it major tough. They're also not going to make it standard tour issue easy. The last few weeks, we've had some cupcake golf courses, some weaker fields. We're back to full field. We're back to 70 of the guys who actually earned their way into this position to play in this playoff event with a lot of money at the end of the rainbow here. A lot. Like each event has its own purse, and then you get the big one at the end of the road there in Atlanta to the Tour Championship. Big money. And so all these guys are really equipped for this golf course. Actually, I don't have any guys that I wouldn't play here in any circumstance because it's a very fair and balanced golf course. Accuracy is key, of course, off the tee. You don't want to be in this really snarly Bermuda rough. Bermuda rough is just, it's tricky because it doesn't prop the ball up. So you don't get any flyer lies out of that stuff. It just sinks down to the bottom, and then you have to somehow put the club face on the back of the ball through it. It's really tough. So accuracy off the tee, and then your standard approach distances all the way from 125 yards up to 200 yards. Pretty versatile, again, balanced golf course where you're going to get different approach distances across the bag. It's going to be a true test, but I do put a lot of stock on the first and second shots. Because if you're not in play or in scoring position after your first two shots, you're going to have to scramble and avoid not just bogey, but double bogey. Because this course, if you are wayward, will eat you alive.
Yeah, I do think scrambling might be an important thing here. And as you said, accuracy is going to be at a premium.
And that ties in with putting on Bermuda. We haven't seen a Bermuda Greens golf course really like this since mid-season. So a lot of these guys some of them are licking their chops because they're tired of bent grass and POA, but some of them are kind of really excited to putt on Bermuda. But the Bermuda Greens here at TPC Southwind are lightning fast. So I'm filtering for putting on Bermuda in fast conditions because that's going to come down to who's putting well right now. Lucas Glover last year, he's notorious for being a terrible putter by tour standards. And he came in as hot as anybody could ever come into this tournament. Didn't matter. He was making everything no matter what. But in general, I want a guy across the bag is going to be solid and not beat himself.
And we've got a lot of players in this star-studded field who fit that description. We'll get to the odds in just a moment. But first, if you want a chance to win a signed Amari Cooper jersey for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com, all you need to do is head to bettingpros.com/contest, complete the form, and either download the Betting Pros app, leave a review for the Betting Pros podcast, or subscribe to our social media channels at Betting Pros on X and TikTok, and at Betting Pros NFL on Instagram. The more actions you complete, the more entries you receive. We'll be announcing a winner right here on the channel, so make sure to turn on those notifications to be notified when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. All right, let's look at the odds for the FedEx St. Jude Championship. All odds are courtesy of DraftKings as of Monday afternoon, and these are from early Monday afternoon, so some of these might have changed. Olympic gold medalist Scottie Scheffler opens as the favorite at plus 360, followed by Xander Schauffele at plus 700 and Rory McIlroy at plus 800. Collin Morikawa checks in at plus 1400. Patrick Cantlay and Ludvig Aberg are plus 2,000. Tommy Fleetwood plus 2,200. Hideki Matsuyama is plus 2,800. Viktor Hovland, Tony Finau, and Tom Kim are plus 3,000. Justin Thomas, Corey Connors, Russell Henley, and Aaron Rai are plus 3,500. And Billy Horschel, Sungjae Im, and Sahith Theegala are plus 4,000. Who do you like from this group, Bo?
This guy named Scottie Scheffler is pretty good. I think this is the kind of field where I go back to that live betting model where you're looking at the odds to see if they slip. This is a really strong field. So let's say Scottie doesn't get off to the best start. As we saw from the Olympic Games very recently, it doesn't matter how far he's behind. He's always in play. There's no cut this week. So you give Scottie Scheffler, the best player in the world, 72 holes to make an impression. He's going to give himself more scoring opportunities than anybody else. That being said, even though he's number one in my statistical model, it's really hard to shake him out of that spot because he's good across the board. The one thing that stands out is putting on Bermuda. It's better on Bermuda, but Scottie is not a good putter. He's still struggling with the flat stick, especially when the greens are fast. That was one thing that really knocked him down. And my model was, if you filter for fast greens and putting on Bermuda, he kind of took a little tumble all the way down to maybe number 6. It wasn't a very far decline, but it is enough to make me think twice at plus 350. And down the road, I think that the value in this board is just outside of the very top tier where it's 10-1. You're gonna, if you like Rory, bet Rory. If you like Xander, bet Xander. If you like Scottie enough to bet him at plus 350, go for it. You're just gonna have to get really aggressive. Yeah, it's Ludvig Aberg at plus 2,000. That's where I start. He fits the bill on this golf course. We've seen him not stand down to tough golf courses in tough fields, and he's due. He's ready for that first PGA Tour victory, and he's coming into this kind of scuffling. And I think that a course that fits him this well, fits his game this well, could really jumpstart his next step into greatness. So Ludvig Aberg is where I'm starting at plus 2,000.
Yeah, it sounds like we might be shopping in the same category of players this week. I agree that maybe live betting is the way to go with Scottie. Despite winning 4 of his last 6 events, not a great track record at TPC Southwind. He's had no top 10 finishes and 2 missed cuts in his previous 6 appearances here. 31st last year, although he does rank 5th in scrambling. So if he does, well, how many greens is Scottie going to miss, though? The guy's just such a ball striking machine. Xander Schauffele also has kind of a mediocre track record here. He too has played this event 6 times. Best finish was 6th in 2020, but only one other top 25, and that was last year when he was 24th. Although Xander leads the tour in scrambling right now. He gets up and down 70.4% of the time. You were going to add something, Bo?
I was just going to say that right along the lines of Ludvig Aberg at plus 2,000. I love that number, but his Nordic counterpart, I know Sweden and Norway don't get along too well all the time, but Viktor Hovland at plus 3,500 is definitely on my board. He's a very similar player to Ludvig Aberg, really accurate T-ball player and an outstanding iron player. I think that Viktor Hovland's skill set fits this golf course extremely well too, especially if he can keep his Bermuda putting stats where they are now, which is pretty good.
What about Collin Morikawa, who has rattled off 12 straight top 25s dating all the way back to the Masters, and in 3 previous trips to Memphis, he's finished 20th, 26th, 5th, and 13th.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I'm finding with Collin is that as the putting conditions get more difficult, the more he kind of folds when it comes to scrambling and avoiding double bogeys. He's also coming in, dead last in scrambling and putting in this field, and then pretty far down the way for strokes gained on par 5s. There's only 2 on this golf course, so you're going to have to get those 2 gettable par 5s, or else you're going to have to be even better on the par 4s, and the par 4s here are very tough. I think that even when you look at that, the main par 4 distance here is between 450 and 500 yards, and Morikawa's 59th in this field in that category. So Collin, although his macro ball striking stats are obviously amazing, he's one of the best iron players in the world. That's why he's competed here before. I'm not sure I like him that much at plus 1,200. It just seems a little short for the way he's playing and the way he kind of fits this course.
Now, I haven't always been the biggest Patrick Cantlay backer, but there's one thing about Cantlay that kind of intrigues me, and it's that he has been terrific in FedEx Cup playoff events the last few years. Won the BMW Championship and Tour Championship in 2021, and he won the BMW Championship in 2022. Also finished 2nd at TPC Southwind last year.
He's turned his game around in the last month or two, and he's the kind of player who, again, doesn't beat himself. He's so consistent. He's really good at avoiding big numbers. He's really good at playing tough golf courses to make them look easy. He doesn't always score well when it's a kind of a easier golf course. He kind of loses interest. He doesn't really. He's a grinder. That's all he knows. Patrick Cantlay loves to grind, and as the conditions get more and more difficult, that's when you see his skill level kind of rise to the occasion. I love Cantlay this week. I just don't know if I want to bet him at the number he's currently at. It's close though. I think if he slips the right direction in our favor, I think I would pull the trigger on him.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the other guys with, from this group, not among the short odds guys, maybe a little more appealing as far as odds. Hideki Matsuyama coming off that bronze at the Olympics, and he's finished top 20 in his last 3 trips to Memphis, including a second in 2021. Hideki also ranks 4th on tour in scrambling. Justin Thomas won here in 2020, and in his other 3 events at TPC Southwind, he's finished 12th, 26th, and 13th. Seems to like this course. I think he also has an affiliation with the St. Jude charity.
Yes, he does, yes.
And he's from nearby Louisville. So this is his region. Ranked 6th in strokes gained around the green. So I'm a little intrigued by JT, actually, and I've not been very big on JT this year. I'll just mention 3 more real quickly, Bo. Tom Kim, a little streaky this season, but he's had 3 top 10s in his last 9 events, and he's finished 25th in his top 25, I should say, in both of his St. Jude appearances. Russell Henley, 2 top 10s in his last 3 events, finished 6th at TPC Southwind last year, and he is definitely a Bermuda specialist. And Corey Connors, 27th or better in 10 straight events dating back to April, and one of the better ball strikers in the world. So anyone from that group interest you?
Not necessarily. I'm not going to knock you for any of those guys because they are solid picks. I'm just kind of looking a different direction in that tier. I'm looking for recent form more than anything. And where Connors is great is recent form. Connor's scrambling ability and his ability to putt on Bermuda scares the daylights out of me. Yes, he is all the things you said he is. He's also one of the worst short games on tour, and it's gonna be trying if Corey Connors is Bud Light Scottie Scheffler, then you have to consider that Corey Connors needs to putt well to overcome his or to keep his ball striking relevant. Like we've seen it time and time again with Corey Connors is great from tee to green. Once he gets there, all bets are off. So I'm not really betting him, but Davis Thompson is playing super hot golf right now, and he fits this golf course well. He's coming at 60-1. There's your what if Corey Connors had a short game and was also playing really well right now and had more favorable odds than Corey Connors and isn't Canadian, I guess. no knock on our Canadian fans, but I like Davis Thompson.
Yeah, since Corey Connors is Canadian, we should probably make that Molson Light or Labatt's Light.
Labatt Blue, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's look at some of the mid-range options. Cameron Young, Shane Lowry, and Sam Burns are plus 4,500. Jordan Spieth and Adam Scott plus 5,000. Matthew Fitzpatrick, Brian Harmon, and Wyndham Clark plus 5,500. Max Homa, Ben On, and Sepp Straka plus 6,000. Jason Day and the aforementioned Davis Thompson. Well, you said Davis Thompson down to plus 6,000 earlier today, plus 6,500. Christian Bezuidenhout plus 7,000, and Akshay Bhatia and Siwoo Kim plus 7,500. Anyone here appeal to you?
Other than Thompson, I'm taking a look at Jason Day. I'm taking a look at Akshay Bhatia. Bhatia, his recent form kind of concerns me, but this is kind of golf course where if he can get off the tee with some accuracy, he can do some damage. I don't know that I trust him, but the number is really enticing. He's when you get a guy as talented as Akshay Bhatia at around plus 7,000 or plus 7,500, I'm really inclined to just take a shot on him because he absolutely can do it here. I really love Thompson in this tier. It's the only thing that keeps popping up. So that's my horse in this range.
Yeah. Sam Burns has 4 wins on Bermuda courses. So I'm kind of intrigued by that, and finished second here in 2021, and he's finished top 15 in 4 of his last 6 events. So he's kind of got that combination of good recent form, course fit, and sort of a Bermuda specialist. I'm definitely interested in Sam Burns. Siwoo Kim, also kind of a Bermuda guy. He's got 4 career wins on Bermuda greens. Matt Fitzpatrick, he's been in poor form, but he does seem to like this course. He's finished top 6 in 3 of his last 5 events he's played here. All right, what about long shots, Bo? Is there anyone you like at 80-1 or longer?
Just have one, and it's Canadian.
Really?
Yeah, for some reason, it's when I measure, I try to weight my model for consistency, especially on a golf course that's going to give you a wide range of results. You're going to see some birdie making, you're going to see some really big crooked numbers on this golf course, because if you get off the tee in that rough, you're paying with double bogeys on this type of place. Consistent guys who don't beat themselves. Nick Taylor 200-1, the Canadian. This is very similar to just the winning the Canadian Open last year, for example. This is one of the comp courses there is up there in Ontario where he won. So it's just a fit. It's an approach fit. He's super consistent across the board. I don't see any metrics where I can say, no, Nick Taylor's not going to do well here. It across the board, it's top 25, top 40, where he's in the front half, the positive half of this field in just about every metric that I weighed for. And that's a good sign for a long shot. So I can take some shots at 200-1 outright. I can take a lot of top 5, top 10, top 20 bets just to fit it in, because I think that number is really soft for how well he's played the last 2 years. Really, he's been remarkably consistent.
I have to say that not a lot of the long shots caught my eye this week, Bo, just because you have to beat such a tough field in this. So it's really hard to see someone coming out of the fog at 100-1 or longer. One guy I pondered a little bit was Harris English, just because he's had a couple of top 10s here. Not great. Not a great season for Harris English.
Will this be his random breakout week? Because he does be
have
kind of
those.
Every once in a while he's ho hum most of the time. Every 6 weeks, 7 weeks, he'll pop off and play extremely well. Maybe it's this week. I don't fault you for that one at all. But yeah, Nick Taylor for me was the only guy that I really even looked at out inside of top 80-1. It's really top heavy here, and you don't expect a guy to come from the back really at all.
Right. Yeah, I've definitely got a range of guys I'm betting. So let's talk about our cards, Bo. What do you have on yours right now?
So I have Ludvig Aberg at 20-1. I have Viktor Hovland at 35-1, Davis Thompson at 60-1, and Nick Taylor at 200-1.
Well, we don't have any love connections here, Bo. I've got a quartet myself. I've got Hideki Matsuyama at plus 2,800, Justin Thomas at plus 3,500, Russell Henley at plus 3,500, and Sam Burns at plus 4,500. All right, so let's
have a type this week.
I do have a type. Now let's move on to the one and done competition. Very little blood drawn last week. Bo had Siwoo Kim. He missed the cut. And by the way, Bo didn't have anyone miss the cut all season other than in that Zurich Classic, the weird 2-man event. And now he's had 3 straight missed cuts. Bo,
Has it hurt me? Has it hurt me?
It has not hurt Bo. I have barely put a dent in Bo's lead of just under $3.7 million. I had Sung Jae Im, who finished tied for 41st in a low money event and earned a robust $31,995.
That's not going to pay the bills. But these last 3 weeks of the season, whether or not we have anybody kind of hanging around by the time the Tour Championship rolls around, who we're going to be picking might be really difficult, but a lot of money can change directions here with how much is on the line.
I might have a few aces up my sleeve, Bo, but it's your pick first this week. So who you got?
So I don't believe I picked this guy, and I didn't talk about him tonight, but I'm going to take Billy Horschel.
Billy Horschel. Okay, that's interesting. I am going to go with Justin Thomas.
JT.
It seems like a lot of things are sort of pointing toward him for me this week. We'll see if that's.
I hope you're right.
Me too. And that's all for this week's show. Thank you to our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Sign up for Underdog with the promo code BP Golf to claim your special pick and to get a first-time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. And please come join Bo and I again next week when we'll be previewing the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs, the BMW Championship in Colorado. Until then, so long, everyone.